So, Damsel has just hit Netflix. Yeah, I was curious to check this out. Okay, so it's directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, written by Dan Mazeau. It is produced by Joe Ruth, Jeff Kirkenbaum, Chris Castildi, Morgan Bush, executive produced by Sue Baden-Powell, Mark Bumbach, Millie Bobby Brown, Robert Brown, Dan Mazeau. It is co-produced by Emily Wolfe and line produced by Nick Page. David Fleming handled the music, Larry Fong cinematography, John Gilbert edits the piece, while Joe Montiero and Fiona Weir took care of casting. Patrick Tapaloupoulos was on production design. Dominic Capon and Elliot Lidgley took care of set decoration. Amanda Monk was costume design. Right. We have got Andrew Ackland Snow, Ellie Jones, Jason Knox Johnson, Lisa McDermid, Laura Michalowicz, Marco Anton Restivio, and Adam Squires on art direction. So the cast. We have Elodie, played by Millie Bobby Brown. Her younger sister, Flora, is played by Brooke Carter. Her dad, Lord Bayford, is played by Ray Winston. Lady Bayford, his wife, is played by Angela Bassett. Right, then we've got Prince Henry, played by Nick Robinson. His mother, Queen Isabel, is played by Robin Wright. His dad, King Roderick, is played by Milo Twomey. Then there's Princess Victoria, played by Nicole Joseph. Chamberlain, played by Patrice Nambana. Another bride of Henry's is played by Tasha Lim. Some of the other princesses we see are played by Sofia Salia, Eloise Shepherd Taylor, Margarita Wren, Esther Odomedi, Sonia Nissa, Brogan McFarlane. I think the king we see at the start is played by Matt Slack. The voice of the dragon is Shohreh Aghdashloo. Yes, so yeah, there we go. The gist of these stories is in this new fantasy film, a young woman who thinks she is being married to a perfect prince is thrown into a pit where she discovers she's not going to be a princess after all, but a sacrifice to appease a bloodthirsty dragon, trying to survive long enough until someone can save her. She soon realizes that no one is coming, and this damsel must save herself. So, back in July 2022, right? I think it's episode 2007. We looked at The Princess, which was like a similar tale, right? It was a Hulu original. So over here it was on Disney Plus. And yeah, it told a tale of a princess not, following trope and saving the day. Joey King was the princess involved. And it wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. So I was expecting this to be a similar kind of thing. It it was, right? I think if you don't think about it too tough, you know what I mean? It's passable, right? It does its job. It's not offensive, you know? There are a few things that are a bit like I didn't buy the relationship between Lord and Lady Bayford. You know what I mean? It didn't really seem like there was anything there. And you do kind of feel like, I don't know if Lady Bayford is marrying Lord Bayford by choice. You know what I mean? It's that. Also, there's just stepmother. I just find that very weird. You know what I mean? Like it was just stepmother. I wonder if you could do stepmother. Like it doesn't roll off the tongue, right? And I just think there's nothing wrong with mother. You know what I mean? It's not taking away that that isn't your biological mother, right? And your other mother didn't exist. No, it's just acknowledging that person is caring for you. You know what I mean? Right? Now, it's a bit more, it's a bit different when, if people have separated, right? And the mother is still alive per se. But if the mother is dead, yeah, it just that all felt very weird and false. Like the relationships just, I don't know, just not, they just didn't feel very fleshed out, you know? It looked amazing. The film looks very good. Look, it really does look very good. Right? There's only a couple of things that were a bit odd in places sometimes was the fire didn't always work, right? And the dragon, but the dragon looks great. The only thing with the dragon is there's times when, and it might just be my funky eyesight, right? There's times when it seemed like the dragon wasn't that big, and other times we're like meant to think the dragon is huge. So I was just like, wait, how big is a fucking dragon? Right? How big is a dragon? I am confused here. I am not sure. Like, it can fit through that hole, but then it can't fit through that hole. And the holes look like they're the same size. So, what are we doing? What's going on? Yeah, those were the real things aesthetically. Everything else, as I said, it looked stunning. Very good. Very good. Distance was always a weird thing in this as well. Because you just think, okay, why is it taking a dragon that long to fly from there to there when it doesn't look like it's a very big distance? Or, okay, so they went down that hill on the horse, right? It seemed to take a few seconds, but coming back seems to take a lot longer. What's happening here? Right? So, yeah, time was a bit of a weird one, you know? Um, Yeah, the ceremony and just all of that kind of thing. You buy it. You do buy that, right? And I thought Angela Bassett was very good in, you know, the way she had to play it just before the wedding, and all of that. Like you bought the concern. You did buy the concern from uh Lady Bayford, right? Now, when everything's gone down, you have to look at the distance, right? You got to look at the distance because getting dropped down a pit, it's got to be a little tough. That's not an easy thing. You know what I mean? That's not an easy thing, right? When you look at the distance, you are breaking something. you're breaking something. If not your back, right? You can't make that fall unscathed. So, as we see later on, right? But there's that. There's the whole fire thing. Again, we have screaming, but then it's kind of forgotten within the walk. So there are these inconsistencies that we see, which again, if you're not thinking about it too tough, I'm sure a lot of people aren't noticing these things, but they're there, right? They're there. So it does make it a bit weird. Plus, we got the um when you think about the drawing in the cave, we are meant to kind of buy that everyone makes the jump. That's the jump's crazy, and then what you have to do to survive the jump is crazy, right? Because it's all about muscle tone, right? What not muscle tone, but muscle use. You know what I mean? Because I say rock climbing, you can be fit, right? You can go to the gym every day. But when you do rock climb, it's different muscles. So at first, you're just like, yo, moms, I'm feeling this shit. You know what I mean? So it's not something that, oh, you can just do, right? So that aspect of it is a bit, hmm. And to imagine every single person is doing that right now, if there's another route, fine. But we see the jump multiple times. So that's very, it doesn't necessarily make any sense because we're meant to go like, oh, so everyone has done this thing and then they come back and then they do this thing and then it doesn't quite work out. Doesn't quite work out. And then you get to a point and then you come all the way back. What? Yeah, so the cave bit was peculiar. Was peculiar. Also the blood. Shit, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't, like, you would need a proper transfusion. It doesn't work like that. What are you talking about? You know? What are you talking about? Ah, like the film is fine. The film is fine. I didn't fully buy Millie Bobby Brown as this princess person with, necessarily the wherewithal to do all the thing. Right? I think Joey King was a bit more convincing in The Princess. But if you like The Princess, I think, and you're a young kid, I think you would enjoy the, Damsel. Right? If you like Hunger Games and those sorts of things, I think Damsel will work. It's not a terrible film by any means. It's just it could have been more. Right? That's the thing with a lot of this stuff. You feel it could have been so much more powerful, right? But yeah, it just really wasn't. It's not necessarily a surprise because I've not enjoyed a film Dan Mazeau has written. I mean, he did Wrath of the Titans, which I mean, Clash was horrible. I think I watched a 10 or so minutes of rap and I was just like, no. Fast 10? Now you know what I thought of Fast 10. So, after seeing like, oh, I was like, yeah, it explains a lot. But as I said, if you enjoyed The Princess, if you enjoyed you know well, I say the later Hunger Games films, because I thought the first was very good, but then it went downhill. So if you like the latter Hunger Games films, if you enjoy um like the Tomb Raider films, the what's the Maze Runner things, right? Those kind of things, then yeah, I think Damsel could work. It could work. It would probably play better to a younger audience, right? Younger audience. I think your older kids are gonna be a bit more skept on it, but yeah, it should entertain. So Damsel, it is now out on Netflix.